Hey y'all, Michelle Johnson with Have Color Will Travel, and welcome back to my studio. Today I'm back, as promised in my last video, to talk to you about this new set of pens that I brought home. So usually when I have a new art supply, I run it through its paces, and then I come back onto my YouTube channel to create a video to talk to you all about it. But today I thought I'd do something different. Since these are brand new and I'm really excited about them, I thought maybe we could do those tests together and we could have it all happen at the same time. So this is a package of 5 pens. Here we go. Set that aside. A brush pen. So this is the Zig Cartoonist brush pen. It's a number 22. And then this one is, I'm really excited about this one. This one too, this one is also, this was the main reason I wanted to bring this home. I have a thing for brush pens, but this was another one that I was very curious about. And it's the Kuretake Bimmoji Fude pen. And then we have a liner in here. This is the one I was the least excited about because, as you saw in my last video, I have a lot of liners. But what I was interested in, well, first of all, I don't know if you can tell, it's got a really sparkly, like spatial, glittery barrel, which I think is kind of fun. I do like this. I thought that's a really wide barrel, and if you saw my last video, you know I like a wide barrel. But this is the mangaka, I think I'm saying that right, mangaka 0.01 cartoonist liner. Then this one, which I don't know if I'm going to have much interest in, but I'm curious about all the same. This is the graphic, or the art and graphic twin. This is more of a marker style in light gray. And this one, which kind of for me was the, it's along for the ride, but who knows, we'll find out. Maybe it's something a little more interesting than that. This is the Fudebiyori Pigment pen. So this is a water-based pigment pen in white. And the packaging says that if you repeatedly go over the top of a dry layer with the white ink, you can use this to create definition and highlights and things of that nature. So we're going to see what happens with that today. These are the tests I'm going to put them through. So first of all, I'm just going to give them a test run. I haven't used these since, well, that's not entirely true, and you'll see in just a second. I did use them for a little bit today before the video, but I don't think that counts. So I'm going to give them a test run on just regular old white copy paper, something simple. It would also let me know whether or not it bleeds really easily. I'm testing them. And then number 2, I'm going to test them for, let me move this out of the way, water resistance. And how I'm going to do that, I've got, this is what I mean by I've used them just a little bit. I have prepared 2 things off camera so that they have had plenty of time to dry, of all of the pens on Canson XL 140 pound cold press watercolor paper. If they work well on this, then I think it's going to be really, really exciting, because one of these pens, let's see which one, right here, it says it's smudge proof with watercolor. All of the others don't mention anything about water resistance or being smudge proof or any of those things. So I'm very curious to find out, 1, what does smudge proof mean? And then 2, how are all of these going to respond to water? But beyond water, I also want to see how they respond with other coloring tools. So I've got a collection of supplies I'm going to run across these lines I've prepared. A Copic, well, not the original Copic, I can't afford those, y'all. They're really expensive, but a Copic Chow, which is an alcohol marker. This is a Pitt Artist pen. This is a permanent pigment pen by Faber-Castell. This is also another pigment pen. This is by Staedtler, also permanent. Zig Kuretake's watercolor real brush pens. Notice I'm sticking with a theme. Everything is purple and orange, because to me, I don't know, what colors are October for you? For me, they're purple and orange. This is a Staedtler Mars watercolor kind of pen, really old, but I like to use this on black lines. When I say really old, I've had these a really long time and they still work great. And then I've also got a dirty palette full of orange. So we're gonna see how actual watercolor works with over these lines, and if they hold fast or if they become a muddy mess. So that's the second thing we're gonna do. Third, I want to compare brush pens. So if you saw my last video, you know that I am in a deep and long loving relationship with this pen. I love the Pentel Pocket Brush Pen. But the reason I was interested in this set is I've been eyeing these Kuretake brush pens for a while. But I was like, I have this one, but how could this one be any better? But look at how different it is, y'all. Look at the size difference, the brush difference. So because this was in a package of for 5 pens and the price was right, I brought it home. This was the reason I brought it home. But I want to compare these two pens together, and I'm going to be doing that on regular copy paper. Then the fourth test is what I was talking about at the very beginning, is seeing whether or not this Fudebiyori Pigment pen, which is a white pen that's supposed to be able to color over or paint over black lines and help you highlight things. So I did a little sketching off camera of just a basic old pumpkin, kind of like your Charlie Brown pumpkin. I did not use one of these pens. Maybe I should have, I didn't think about that. But I used my, I didn't use a fine tip, that would take forever. I used my Faber-Castell bullet, basically, it's a 1.5 pen, and just inked it in. I left some places white to kind of be able, hopefully, ideally compare. I also thought I'd see how this gray pen worked over this, because then it could create a grounding shadow. So yeah, that was how my brain was processing that. Oh, and this is on Fabriano Artistico hot press paper, because, well, I don't know, I like to test it out on multiple surfaces. I don't know if you know this, but how ink dries into a particular paper surface can affect its ability to work with other materials. So in this video, we're going to be working with cold press and hot press, as well as simple copy paper. And the last thing that I'm going to run their paces through is going to take a little bit longer than just this video. I, off camera again, prepared 2 pieces of Stonehenge paper, which is a nice quality drawing paper. I prepped 2 identical brush marks, and I'm going to put one of these in a black drawer, basically like a drawer that's not going to see light for a number of months. I'm going to put this in my window of my studio. My studio windows get so much South Texas sun. I want to see what happens when these are in the sun. I'm getting to the place where I like to hang up my line art on walls. I don't want it to fade. Those are the tests that I'm going to be running today. And so without any further explanation, let's get started. I have a couple of sheets of copy paper pulled together in a stack, because this is a very old cutting mat and I love it, but it is no longer smooth, so that will help me. This is the one I'd like to try first. So this is it's right there. This is the easiest one for me to remember because it's labeled nice and big. Art and Graphic Twins. So this, to me, when I look at this, it looks like a Tombow pen. A Tombow, I think they're called dual brush pens. I've got a collection of those as well. It's got 2 sides, a brush side, but this is not a brush. So let me bring this up. This is, to my eyes, it's more like a foam kind of situation rather than a brush, and it's not textured at all. It's very smooth. And this is just your regular bullet tip. Let's see what happens here. Ooh. Did you hear that squeaky sound? So that makes a nice, it feels weird. It's like almost like drawing with a sponge, if that is something that you can imagine. Oh, that makes a really fine line. Look at that. And if I was to change the orientation, that's very, very, very broad. So what I'm doing now is I just want to see, can I gradually make this darker? And I can, it seems to be, oh, wow, it's very moist. I don't know if you can tell. It is already making my copy paper buckle, but you definitely can layer and create a deeper saturation of this color. I'm sure it would do much better on a higher quality paper. Honestly, y'all, I'm not a super, like, not brush pen fan. Does that make sense? So there's not like brush filaments, you know, like a paint. Like, this is a brush. I expect it to have little things that open up and splay out. This to me is just a flexible nib, but this has a really satisfying experience. Notice my voice is getting softer. I don't mean I have just opened this, but I wonder how my next guess is, next wondering is how long would this tip remain so fine? This is cool. Oh, I like the squeak. So if you're a person that doesn't like any kind of haptic feedback or sounds from your writing utensils, maybe this isn't for you, but I'm pressing pretty hard. I can do it lighter. Yeah, if I do it lighter, it doesn't make so much noise. All right, let's try do they tell you how big this is? They use words, brush, fine. So we don't necessarily have a mathematical way of talking about this. So this is just a bullet tip. Also, again, obviously thicker than, and I'm trying my best to get to the top. Even at its finest, it's still not as fine as the, oops, I was trying to find the other pen. It doesn't even feel like I'm using the same pen. It's not as fine as if you hold the brush pen at the top. I wonder what happens here. Can I do that? Yeah, you can make a broader thing, broader line if you hold it by the side. I like the value of this gray. This seems like it would be a useful gray on its own if you just wanted something really light. The reason I'm thinking about that is I recently did some work with alcohol markers that were a gift from my family, and I was seriously disappointed in the lack of different shades of gray because I really wanted something lighter. So, I didn't expect to like this pen. I like this pen. So, A++, didn't expect to like it. I was wrong. And I'm very willing to admit that I was wrong. One of the things I like about it, and I'm just noticing now as I'm trying to push this over, it's got that little nib that I think Tombos have this too, or some of my pens have this, and I really like this feature because it makes it so it doesn't roll off your table. All right, let's see which one should be next. This is the one that I got this for. I had to activate it first because there's a whole procedure. It comes with, I think I've got it here. Yeah, it comes with a ring attached in here that sits right here that stops the ink, and you have to take that ring out. There's instructions, so don't freak out if you get it and it's not working. It works. You just have to go through a literal hoop, or taking off the hoop. I'm gonna move my paper around because I did a little more with that than I had anticipated. So let's see. How is this brush pen? Okay, I don't know necessarily that so it feels very dry to me. I wonder if you do that? I think you might have some action. Okay, maybe you do. You have some actionable, because there's a pinching thing here. I'm so used to the Pentel pocket brush pen where the flow is activated just by putting stuff in. So I am enjoying this. I think I want it to be a little bit juicier, but we'll see. It may need some time to get that ink going into the reservoir area. What I can say is this is a brush, so I don't want to touch it because it'll get all inky, but you see it's got individual fibers, and so it's like painting with a paintbrush. I'm enjoying this dry brushing thing that you can do. That's really cool. And it seems to, let's see if I shape the pen. Move some, I'm already getting too much stuff done there. Hopefully, I want to look and see if you can see this well. Yeah, you can get a really fine line if you draw it almost at a perpendicular or a 90-degree angle to the paper, but it's much thicker than I would expect. I'm trying to get it really, really thin, but it doesn't want to. I wonder if that's because the pen is heavy, because it has a much, if you were doing brush lettering, I am not a brush letterist, y'all. I'm an artist, not a letterist, but I enjoy making letter forms when I'm writing, especially if they're artistic-y. But I can see how you might really enjoy the organic kind of line you would get with this. Oh, this, yeah, okay, so I need to stop. I really like this. I have no idea. Ooh, okay. And then you can just do pitter-patter marks, like staccato-like. Oh, that's fun. Ooh, I like that shape. Okay. I could spend all day just filling this page. Oh, okay, that's a shape I like. Ooh, okay, okay. Okay, all right, I should probably stop saying okay. This is the number 22. I don't know what the number system means. So I did a little bit of Googling, not a whole lot. There are larger ones. I looked at them online. It's not really easy to see the difference when you see the pictures. So I couldn't tell you. I'm assuming higher is bigger, because it doesn't necessarily. This one is called a brush pen number 22. It's a medium brush tip. So maybe I need to see about what a large brush tip is, because I need more pens. Yeah, so okay, I'm excited. This makes me happy. Oh, and it's dried. Oh, this is something I wanted. Well, let's wait till I'm done. We'll see which ones have bled to the back. All right, this is the one that I was curious about. I don't think you can put, yeah. So you can't put the lid back onto the back end of that pen. Can you run this one? Very easily. So that caps itself nicely. Doesn't sound important, except for if you, let's see if this one does. Nope, not so much. If you like to do art out and about, okay, sort of, that feels a little forced. If you like to do art and about, it's nice to be able, okay, so yeah, if you flip over the cap, so not the side that's gonna hold the pen nib in it, but then, oh, you have to be careful not to jam your pen into the wrong end. If you like to do art out and about, it's nice to have a cap that can go onto the back of your pen, because it helps you avoid losing your pens. All right, this one, let me remember what the name of it. This is the Kuretake Bimoji. This is a foodie pen. So very basic nib. It's like a solid cylinder, almost like you'd see at the top of the cone of a rocket kind of thing. So I want to see what this is going to be about. I like the way this feels. It's a very lightweight pen. So I always like to see how I can do fine. Okay, you can do really fine lines, y'all. And then I don't know if it's okay, nice. I like the black on all of these pens as well. I know you're probably thinking black is black, Michelle. Of course it's something you're gonna like, but there are some pens that lean towards a warm black versus a cool black, or the black doesn't have that, that depth. It has a little more, it just feels shallow. And I guess I'd have to show you what shallow means to me, because that's not a word that we use with drawing. I am liking this. I'm tempted to, I don't want to press on it. It doesn't necessarily say, let's see, it says beautifully, Bimoji, beautiful lettering designed to imitate the aesthetics and weight of the traditional calligraphy brush. You can add thick and thin strokes to any drawing. So that suggests to me that you can add I don't want to add pressure. You add pressure if you buy it. I am really enjoying, I'm barely touching the pen to the paper, and it's making me happy. I don't want to smoosh that tip. That tip is really cool. If I want a thicker line, I can do this, which is fine by me. Like, you might think this is just a mess, but I'm just learning so much by doing this. Just drawing these random shapes. Okay, this is a win. This is as cool as I thought it would be, and I'm excited to see if it's waterproof, because I can see myself taking this places. It's really lightweight. It's not even as heavy as a dead stick. How do I know what dead sticks feel like? I've been picking them up a lot lately. This is the Mangaka 0.01. So this is just a liner, and all liners, I've never met a liner that didn't cap itself. It kind of defeats the purpose of a liner. Let's see if I can get a little space here. So this is a very fine point, but I do like this barrel. This barrel is very comfortable. It's not slick. Okay, this is a lovely, that's a lovely point. Oh, they don't say point, they just say, oh, what did they do? 01. So let's compare. This is one of the finer point. It's a very fine line. Writes really smooth. I mean, I've done this to all of them, so I want to see. Nope, it will not write like that. It's definitely a fine liner, but I like it. I mean, it's got a nice feel. This cap is kind of weighted. Oh, and I didn't notice. It's got a really, you could put that, like, I've never noticed my pens having clips except for this brush pen. Well, I guess these have clips too, but they're not metal, which is why that cap isn't as nice. Doesn't feel, this has a nice counterbalance to it. And so I don't have to draw like this to get a good line. I can draw, so my hand's kind of 40, is that 45 degrees? It's really hard to see with my hand in there, but I can have a sideways lean and I'm still able to get contact with the paper. What's nice about it is I can have a looser grip on my pen and do kind of like experimental drawing and really trying to see what kind of weird shapes I can, and that's a little harder to do with other fine liners because they demand that you have a grip. They're designed for precision drawing, not for expressive. But this is a really nice one. I like the way it feels. That's cool. I have no idea how many are in this range, but it is the Zig Cartoonist Mangaka 01. Sweet. I'm not sure I'm gonna do this Fudebiyori pigment pen on here because it's white. So let's hold off on this until we get to this test. Would any of these bleed through regular copy paper? Okay, so we had a little bleed through, which is to be anticipated, especially, wow, because remember how many times I went over this? Like a lot. So where are those dots? Okay, so you mean when you press into it, the ink comes out, but as a general rule, this is not like an alcohol, I mean, none of these are alcohol markers, so it shouldn't behave like an alcohol marker, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee anything, but that's cool. That's not very much of a bleed through. You see how they do with water resistance. Ooh, I'm a little nervous about this. I want it to really work well. My instinct is to just go in order. No, I'm not going to test that with this. Let's just go in order of these supplies. So let's see how each of these, I'm going to get some water in here. Am I the only one that has a bunch of dirty palettes hanging around? All right, so this is the Art and Graphic Twin, the Mangaka 01, the brush pen, the Bimoji Foodie pen, which, if you remember, is this one. It's got the least descriptive name. And then this down here, you can't see it, but I did it, and I promise I'll bring it to the camera. This is the Fudebiyori Pigment brush pen. This is the white pen, because that just because it's white doesn't mean it will be water soluble or waterproof. So, okay, let's see how this orange goes over here. Oh, guys. Ooh, this seems to be a little water resistant, which is, oh, see, there's cat hair. Always in my dirty palettes is cat hair. Please tell me I'm not the only one that has that problem either. Okay. That's exciting, y'all. I'm gonna do it again. They held fast. Oh, I can do these with watercolor. Yay! Let's just do regular water. So no color at all and see what happens. That'll be, but at least we know, because you can see this didn't move. I don't know, maybe you can see this now. The pigment pen, I can see the white line now. It's a little bit resistant because of its pigment, I guess, whatever is in the pigment. And these lines held perfectly firm, but I can't tell what happened here. I see a little bit of gray. So let's just do water. Let me get a little more water. Why a little more water? Okay, that's what I thought. It's faded. So that really is a water-based pen. Did it say? Yep. Okay, water-based dye ink. Okay. So that definitely, well, if I wanted to, I could probably, can I move? Not so much, but okay, so it's not responding well to water. Although funnily enough, the thin line is holding faster than the thicker line. But look at these, they're not budging. Yay me, so exciting. So for those of you that spend time, you know, mixing media, you know that water resistance is not the same as alcohol resistance, that there are pens that do well with one that don't do well with another. I'm going to make sure I've got ample space away from that water that I just put down that was clear water because I can't see it anymore. Let's see. I don't use these very often, so hopefully there's, oh yeah, they're still thick. Let's see how they do. Oops, I'm trying to make this a really thick line. Okay, there's my answer. So the Foodie pen, this one seemed to, let me do it again, make sure. I can use, well, no, I was starting to irritate the paper, but this one seems okay with alcohol. But it seems that the brush pen is not a super fan. Let me get this angle again. Well, it's not too bad. Let me change, let's see, did I get any ink on my nib? No, I didn't. Let me change to the other side of this marker. It has two sides, so it's gotta, let me see what the brush side does. And this is why I made, yeah. Now I am pushing a little harder than I typically would with a marker. Let me do a little lighter. Because I guess I just want to see, yeah, no, it's smudging. Definitely smudge proof with alcohol. So the brush pen works really well with watercolor, with water, so it does not move with water, but it responds to alcohol. But the mangaka and the Fudie, no, not the well, actually the Fudebiyori, you can see, can you guys see that white line now? It's showing up. That's kind of fun. And it's doing just fine with the pigment dye, the water-based dye. It's holding firm. So this is a pigment pen. This is permanent. This is a Pitt Artist pen. And I'm going to turn it on its side because I like to keep my pens with their points. And let's see what happens when it gets, it should be, that's my prediction, it should be fine. Oops, wait, that was a cheat. Okay, my white line's not even there. It should be fine with these, with the graphic art and twin. Wow, it does not, look at it, colors right. I can see that I'm hitting the paint pen. Is it going through the paint? I'm gonna take my glasses off and look at that closer. But that's very cool. Let me go over it again. It's not smudging any of the black ink. It is not erasing the gray ink. That's fun. Y'all, this is super cool. Oh wait, we got a little bit there, a little bit too much moisture and it messes with the brush pen. This is another pigment pen, so pigment based. I think if I remember right, I have to look at my box again. I think this one is, I think both of these are India ink based pens. So let's see how this is the Staedtler. Wow, I picked identical oranges. Let's go back. And then I am gonna go back over and really saturate, because if you know about markers and you like to do marker art, creating, you know, stronger colors requires going back over things, and you don't want your black lines to start to disintegrate. You want them to hold firm. I mean, this is the one I'm curious. So it's not, wow, okay, so can you see that shine? That's a lot of ink I laid down. For whatever reason, it holds ink, or it does not, the line doesn't fade with the Staedtler pigment pen, or the pigment, what do they call these? Staedtler pigment brush pen. Not a memorable name. This pigment pen doesn't do quite as well, although I think now that I'm looking closer, there's a little bit of black ink spreading about. But these two held firm, and these are great. That's awesome. This is a watercolor pen. Use these for watercolor art by the same company that makes these. This is a Zig. So I'm thinking it's going to affect the gray pen a lot. Oh, let's see. I may not be able to go back and forth because you won't be able to see it. Okay, this gets a lot darker than I thought it would faster. So let's do this again over here. I'll just go slow. The slower you go with these pens, the more ink comes out. These are really fun. And these are our watercolor pens, so I could get my paintbrush out and apply water and it would act like watercolor. It's really fun. That's interesting. I don't feel like that's, let me look a little closer. I feel like that's holding fast. It didn't budge, which is weird. That actual water makes it move so much, which makes me wonder and think after if I did a little research, would I find out that this is a dye-based water brush. All right, let's see how this goes. This is also a water-based pen, but I don't remember if it's dye or not. These are older. I'm not even sure they make these anymore. I just like to use them. They still work. And I don't get rid of art supplies. I feel like the gray is being obliterated, but it's hard to tell since this is a really powerful color. Also a purple. They call this dark mauve or dark mauve, but it is not budging the black, which is what I like to see. Woohoo! Look at how these tests came out. I am so pleased that this seems to do pretty well with watercolor, and that this pen, and this pen, I mean the whole thing. I really honestly expected these pens to not respond well to moisture because the packaging didn't tell me that it did. And sometimes I'm like, well, of course they're going to advertise something that's awesome, but no, that's not the case. They didn't advertise it, and it worked out really, really well, which is super cool. I want to compare the brush pen number 22 to my very favorite Pentel Pocket brush pen. So this is my Pentel Pocket brush pen. I can't even say it without like starting to talk like baby talk. And this is my new one. Okay, so maybe that does let me know it's medium. I'm gonna stand up and bring this closer to the camera. Where should I go? It's hard to see. This is definitely a bigger nib. Not an enormously larger nib, but it is bigger. Like this one is my very favorite. Oh, look at all that blank ink. And you can get such fine lines, but maybe the reason why you can't get fine lines with the other one, it just lets out so much beautiful ink, y'all. I could play with this all day long. Okay, I'm gonna stop. All day long. It is definitely my favorite. Let's see here. In comparison, See, now this one's definitely more dry brushy, which that's not a bad thing. That's just a different thing. If I go slower, it can be as thick and pigmented too. But it is definitely me. I thought I was getting a redundant pen because I just was curious, but it's definitely a different size and will make different shapes. Let's see. Ooh, this is fun. Okay, I'm gonna do this on a different piece of paper sometime. Every time I put my brush pen away, I put it away like you saw me do with this one, making a point. I've had this for years, and with it's got a very firm and sturdy brush, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't take care of it. This, as you saw in my last video, I can replace the ink even though it's not advertised that you can do that. I've figured out a system to do it by Googling. YouTube has some wonderful videos, hence why you're watching this one. I don't know about this one, so this may be a one and done, which, you know, I'm trying to lean less towards one and dones, which is why I'm a little sad. I think this one's a one and done too, but we'll see how long it is a one and done. But yeah, okay, so I like them both. They are different. So this is the one where I have my doubts. I don't really know. It's like I didn't really know how to test this for you guys. I just thought, oh, okay, oh. I just thought maybe I would draw a pumpkin. And now, okay, this is a lot more intense than I thought it would be. So this is now turning into a patchwork pumpkin. This is not turning into a more representational pumpkin because I really thought that I was gonna have to do this more than once. All right, this is way more effective than I was led to believe. So when I was looking online and thinking about buying this pack of pens, I look for negative reviews, and one of the negative reviews is people were having was it does not do what it's supposed to do. It doesn't show up on black pen. And I'm not looking at the screen like you are, but do you see what I see? And it's covering in a way that I don't feel like I could achieve with a Posca pen. Posca pens, in my opinion, I do like them. I'm not going to badmouth them or anything, but this nib, I don't have a Posca pen that can get that fine a point. I didn't have to shake it. It was just ready to go. I didn't shake this even when I opened it. It was just ready. It's a very peaceful pen to draw with. Interesting. All right, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over some of the marks that I'm pretty sure have dried. This is fun. So now my wonder is this, and I'm gonna get those other marks that I made. If I'd known this was gonna work this well, I would have colored up some other things with other colors of marker besides black, because everyone said it didn't work, and all the negative reviews were wrong. This works really well. I mean, I don't expect this to be perfectly opaque. It didn't say that it was. It said with multiple layers you can make it depth. This is more for subtle drawing and creating highlights in your black line work. These lines, I'm gonna see, it gets even brighter. And it's not lifting. Like if you have Posca pens in your life, you know you do not go over a wet or semi-wet Posca pen line to increase its value, the darkness, the saturation, because you will pick up pen and it will become a crumbly, scratchy mess. You have to wait for that Posca paint to dry, which makes me wonder, this is a water-based pigment rather than Posca pens, which are acrylic-based. So that makes sense. This is really cool, y'all. That worked way better than I had ever dreamed that it could. And then let's see, if I go over this black line, it turns it to gray. So you can change the value of your lines as well. Fun. Now what does my tip look like? It's a little bit colorful. See if I can just rinse it off on the side of my paper, which is what I do with other kinds of markers. You just color it out. Yeah, awesome. And remember, this is Fabriano Studio hot press paper. This is not cold press paper. And now this drawing doesn't make sense of any kind. Why is that shadow over the grounding line? Doesn't make sense, but I'm just having a good time drawing with y'all and listening to this squeaky pen. It reminds me of puppies. All right. Oh, okay, so there's a little bit of white on there. I'm gonna, if you can see that. I don't know if you can. I can because of my lights. So, yay! This is a big surprise. I did not expect that this was going to work. Who knew? That kind of is a game changer, even though this pumpkin looks like he's had better days. So, this last test, which was going to be lightfastness, you're gonna have to wait. I'm gonna hide this one in one of my studio drawers face down. Notice I've got the date because the likelihood that I will forget when I did this is pretty high, except for I'm now making this video, so maybe not. So it's dated and dated. Why did I draw as many lines as I did for the finer tipped pens? No particular reason. I just felt like it. So I'm gonna put one of these in my window, one of these in my drawer, and I think 3 months. Now, many of you are probably thinking to yourselves, if you are not in my region of the world, you're like, Michelle, it's October. You're heading into winter. How could you possibly find out how light fast it is? Let me tell you, we have a lot of sun in South Texas year round. It's very sunny. It's no problem. I will have a good test for you. So I will come back to that in about 3 months. I'll come and check and see how it's going. I may even take some pictures along the way just for my own curiosity and see how it's going. So yeah, that is it for today's video, or for this week's video, or this month's video. I don't know. I'm still getting used to my production schedule with my crazy, crazy life and my child having cancer and everything just always being up in the world. Even with all that, there are pens, y'all, and they do magic things. I really like all of them. I didn't think that would happen, but it did. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you for joining me on this tour of testing these new markers, or not markers, these new pens, these new drawing pens. Yeah, thank you for your interest in everything that I do here on my channel. It means a great deal to me. If you are interested in any of these supplies that I use today, they are down in the description, the links to all of that stuff. That always is there because, you know, I'm an Amazon affiliate, and whenever you click on something that I've shared about, and remember, I'm always very honest about what I'm sharing about, as you can tell, I get a little bit of a kickback. It's incredibly small. You don't want to know how small because it will just make you angry, but it slowly adds up, and it allows me to do strange and interesting art purchases like what you see here. So yeah, have a wonderful day. Go and make some cool art. Get yourself a new art supply, run it through some tests, have a good time, and I will see you in the next video.